Why do you want that beer so bad?
Because he's thirsty, dummy.
Coming to you almost live from deep in the heart of Texas. It's the Drinking Texas podcast with me, Stephanie, and two guys whose glasses are never half empty. That's Chip and Mike.
Hey, this is Chip and Mike with Drinking Texas, coming to you with the Drinking Texas podcast. As with me, as always, like I said, is Mike and the Filipino goddess of love, Stephanie. And behind the scenes, keeping everybody in line, Mistress Vicky.
Oh, geez. No, I hadn't seen her over there. Okay.
Oh,
hey, Vicky.
Whoops. Oh, she's the one with the whip.
Yeah.
How are y'all doing today?
I'm good. I got lost, but I'm good.
Well, now you're found.
I am.
See how that works? It's wonderful.
And I'm tilting. I could go either way at this point.
That's just because the chair's uneven.
Oh.
You should move the mic.
Oh, no, I'm good.
Yeah, there you go. And with us in our podcast number one, the very first, the official, is our buddy, JD Gins.
Hello.
How are you doing?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thanks for being had.
Well, I'm happy to host you all here.
Yeah, well.
Wait, where are we?
Well, I was going to get to that. Thank you for the introduction of that. We are actually right here deep in the heart of Texas at Texas Beer Company. I was going to say the distillery, but it's the brewery.
Production brewery.
The production brewery, which is right down the street from your actual
Tap room. Down here in Taylor, Texas.
Beautiful Taylor, Texas.
And it's wonderful.
Williamson County. East Williamson County. Here we are.
Yeah.
Yes, this is our production facility.
And JD takes over the podcast.
Hey, I'm doing the talking now. I'm the captain now.
I've got the button. I can shut you off at any time.
Fair enough.
But your voice is so loud, and we're in a room that you could hear it on any mic, so it doesn't matter. I shouldn't have told you that. No, hey, for those of you who don't know, JD is the head brewmaster here. He started life, like many of us, as a beer drinker. Then he became a real beer drinker and then a home brewer, and now the most powerful craft brewer in Texas.
That's all of Texas.
All of Texas.
How does that make you feel?
I don't think that's true.
Yeah, well,
just go with it.
I don't make enough money for that to be true.
It's the most powerful craft brewer in this room.
That's true.
In Texas.
That's true.
Yeah.
We are in Texas.
Yeah. And for Drinking Texas, that's all of Texas at this moment.
Yeah.
So there you go. You're welcome.
Sweet.
Yeah.
You should get a T-shirt that says that.
The most powerful brewer in Texas.
I already got a Drinking Texas brewer shirt.
Well, you got
and a hat,
which makes you the most powerful brewer in all of Texas.
Sweet.
Yeah. No other brewer has that.
Awesome.
No one can compare.
So we're going to get with JD. We've got questions for you. But before we do, we're going to take a little break. We've got alcohol on the table. Mike, what do we have?
Well, we've got some whiskey selections today. The Shining Star. We've got Blanton's Single Barrel Bourbon. I highly recommend that. We've got some Evan Williams. I know what you're thinking. This is bottled in bond, 100 proof and exceptionally smooth. And we've got some Uncle Billy's. Uncle Billy's right here in the Austin area. It's a blended bourbon. And
it's fantastic.
I was going to say delightful.
Got a cool label also.
It does.
And if bourbon's not your thing, I look around the table. It looks like everybody's thing. Yeah. There's an Irish whiskey. This is Green Spot, single pot.
We don't need to smoke the pot, Mike. We've got the bourbon.
Then it's just Irish whiskey.
Plus, it's not legal here yet.
For the beers, though, I'm going to throw it over to JD. What do we got?
What
on
do
the
we
beer
have for the
menu?
beer?
Well, it looks like everybody has the same thing, which is pretty exciting. This is our Hoppy Clouds Ipa. This is a release that we just put out about a week ago. This is a nicely timed podcast. Thanks for having me. But this is a juicy, hazy, tropical, fruited IPA. But we decided we were going to call it a fuzzy IPA. So on the can it says fuzzy. Well, what does that mean? Well, it starts with 1,200 pounds of peaches. Got some Mosaic and Equinox hops. It's got some rolled oats and torrefied wheat, so it got a nice yellow color. And it might be stronger than labeled, but I'm just going to leave it at that because I think I'm supposed to. So it is pretty delicious. We brewed 60 barrels of it and canned it all, and it was pretty much pre-sold and all allocated and out the door real fast. So there's not very much of it left for the tap room, which is kind of weird.
That's kind of sad.
But
that is sad.
That's good.
But there's enough for us. And that's what matters. Yes, exactly. High five to the goddess of love over there. That's why she is the goddess of love. Yeah.
It came out pretty good. We used Texas yeast, Labs yeast. This was kind of fun. This was a real big experiment for us. But we did a bunch of dialing in on our pilot brewery, which is down there at the tap room.
Yep.
Which people know and love. You all come and hang out with us there.
All the time.
This was our last summer's beer we were really focused on, worked on, and then we got to scale it up this summer.
So
Nice.
I know we need to take a break, and we will here in a second, but this yeast strain is brand new. It's the first one that y'all have used on any of your beers, right?
Yeah, for this one, yeah. So there's the good folks down there in New Braunfels. They're called the Texas Yeast Lab. They're right there.
Fantastic.
Yeah, right next to Guadalupe Brewing Company, which is a great spot if you've never been down there. Got great outdoor venue, also got cool stuff. But they've been cultivating yeast and building their business and supplying yeast to a lot of local brewers. And in their tasting room, I tried it, several of the beers that are using it, and I was like, wow, this is really nice. So we took a gamble and just went with it, a 60-barrel pitch, and it came out great. It has a naturally occurring kind of fruity ester, which just makes it great. So then the underpinning fruit flavor is not so strong because it ferments a lot of that fermentable sugar in the peaches.
Right.
Makes more booze.
Yeah, it does.
People like that.
darn, yeah.
So it's not too peachy, subtly peachy, smells nice, got a nice balanced approach.
Yeah.
And for those of you who are tired of JD telling you how good it is, we'll tell you as well. Because coming from the brewer, everything's good, right?
No.
Right.
Well, yeah, that's true.
My job is to be able to distinguish when it's not good and be like, dump it down the drain.
But I will be the first one to chime in. You did a fantastic job on this. It is smooth, it's delicious. I could drink this all day, except for the alcohol content. I can still drink it all day. I'll just be naked by the end of it. Which
by the end of this beer, I'm thinking.
Yeah. Well, I'm halfway there already. Mike, what's your thoughts on that?
On this beer?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I like a lot of beers, but I don't get impressed by many. In this one, I'm an IPA guy, and this is right up at the top of my favorites.
Oh yeah.
I wasn't sure where that was going. I was like,
I was a little worried. Wait a minute.
I've served him a lot of
He's our
beers,
guest.
and I know he's got a discerning palate.
This is crap. No, it's actually fantastic. Stephanie, I know you're not necessarily the biggest beer drinker, but what are your thoughts on this?
I really enjoy it. A little bit on the hoppier side than I'm usually used to when drinking my new beers that I'm trying. But the peach flavor and that fruitiness really helps it. And definitely, I'm halfway. It's good.
You're halfway. I don't even know what that means.
To my
I
drink.
know what that means, but
Look. Okay.
oh yeah, goddess of love. All right, we're gonna go freshen up these drinks, and we'll be right back.
Sweet.
If you plan to go out to drink, be sure to make a plan to get home safe. If not, make a plan anyway. Because while your plans can change, here's one thing that won't. If you're caught drinking and driving, you'll face a DWI that could cost you up to $17,000 in fines and fees, jail time, and you could lose your license. So while you're making your plans, make sure to plan a sober ride before you go out, so you don't drink, drive, go to jail. Plan while you can at soberrides.org. A message from TxDOT.
We're back. So let's see what everyone's drinking. Tell us what you think.
Mike, what you got?
Well, actually, I went ahead and got myself a little bit of this Green Spot Irish whiskey. If you've never had an Irish whiskey, come on, it's
what are you
smooth,
thinking?
it's easy, like the Irish.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I've had a lot. It's from a Jameson brewery or distillery. Sorry. But this is high end stuff. It's really fantastic. If you like Jameson, you're gonna love this.
The goddess of love just went straight out of the bottle with it.
Nice.
Smells delicious.
JD, what you got?
Well, I'm going to drink some more of this Uncle Billy's. I love the fact that there's more and more breweries doing the distilling. That's something that's kind of on my bucket list. I'd like to start doing some distilling around here.
Very cool.
I got the ability to make a mash easy. And then I think I could do some distilling. So I admire all these breweries that are doing it. Real ale spirits. You see that, but that label looks good. Tastes delicious.
Yeah, Uncle Billy's was the first brew distillery in Austin.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they came out last year with this bourbon whiskey and also with a vodka. They're doing mixed drinks down at their spot. They're canning them, and they're really fantastic.
Mm-hmm. And I recognize that guy. That guy is also on several of their cans. I think it's the one where he's sitting in the pool, maybe on the tube,
and on the bicycle.
Yeah, there's some cross promotion of their branding there. It's a very different label than their cans, but I do like that is a character in their general portfolio.
Oh yeah, that is their character. Mike, who is that guy?
I think that is Uncle Billy.
Yeah, it's Billy. Barton,
Madison.
right?
Billy Barton.
Billy Barton.
William Barton.
The William Barton, the founder of Barton Springs.
Yeah, exactly.
Really?
Yes, sir.
Very cool.
That's who they. Oddly enough, it looks like Bob, who is the majority owner of Uncle Billy's. So you see Bob, that's a different story. We need to talk about that off air. He is the godfather of of Texas imports, really. Of imports.
Of imports, yeah.
Yeah, he's one of the godfathers of Texas beer. We can talk about that later because that's a longer story that we don't have time for. Stephanie, what you got?
I went with the Blantons. My first time having it, smooth, very strong, put hair on your chest kind. So boys, watch out.
Yeah, you don't need any more of that.
I don't shave often, so sorry.
Yeah. You know how you can tell Stephanie's boyfriend? Hairballs.
Hairballs.
Yeah, just coughing them up. Yep. There you go.
I'm familiar with hairballs.
Yes.
I have a brewery cat, you know.
Oh, I know you do. It's an awesome cat.
Her name is Suds. She won a Hunger Games to move in here. So we have a brewery. We wanted a cat. We called the local animal shelter. We said, we need a cat. Why? For our brewery. So then they sent us this cat lady who said, so start putting food outside, water outside, and I'm going to start introducing cats to your building. You'll start seeing some hanging out. We're like, well, how do we pick which one we want? Like, you don't do it that way. They sort it out, and one of them will emerge victorious. So Suds won the Hunger Games, and she eats in here. She kills lots of things in here. But you know, frankly, there's actually still 2 or 3 of the cats that didn't make it in here. They live outside the brewery in the general area, and they eat everything outside also. So it's actually that's how that strategy works. I didn't really know that, but you know, we're in the country out here in Taylor, and this is how barn cats work.
Yeah, I'm drinking that Hoppy IPA, by the way.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, but then the whole cat story reminded me of how I raised my girls.
Yeah, well, yeah,
lots of cat fights.
Well, they had 5, 2 survived.
Whoa.
Yeah,
I don't like to talk about that.
Well, I mean,
1.5.
1.5. Yeah, but yeah, that Hoppy IPA is fantastic. I'm so happy with it.
How many of those are you going to drink?
Just the 12.
Just until his clothes come off.
Yeah. Vicky's driving home, so I don't have to worry about that.
Thanks, Vicky.
And by the way, what are you drinking? Blanton's, and that's why she's the mistress, Vicky.
Because she can handle it all.
She can handle it all. Yes, she can.
She can keep it.
Oh yeah,
tight
and classy.
Yes, she does.
All at the same time.
Ooh.
Before we go to break, we're gonna go over to Mike because Mike always likes to ask a random question. He'll throw that out to you. We can think about it a little bit. We'll refresh our drinks and then come back with the answers. Hey, this is Chip of Drinking Texas, and Stephanie's going to tell you where you can find us.
All right. You can find us on Instagram at DrinkingTX, on Facebook at Drinking Texas, on the Twitters at DrinkingTX1, because we are number 1, YouTube at Drinking Texas TV. Then you can find where we're at, all the gear on our website at www.drinkingtx.com.
We're here with JD Gins to talk about Texas Beer Company. First, Mike has a random question for the group.
Yeah, well, and this is based off searching the Instagrams and the Facebooks. I noticed that, JD, you were on vacation recently.
Yeah, I was out fishing.
Fishing.
Yeah.
Catch anything good?
What kind of bait?
Well, mostly marijuana and other kind of illegal substances. No, I didn't have a real.
We do not condone the use. We do, but we don't condone the use.
Did you know that Williamson County just said they're going to stop prosecuting because of the new hemp law? So, I mean, if Williamson County is getting on board.
Good Lord.
Exactly.
Cool. But yeah, so I was in Washington, D.C. visiting my sister who had a baby. I was in Philadelphia visiting some of my friends who've had babies. And I went to upstate New York, and I was hanging out around the Saratoga Springs area at Lake George, drinking beer. No babies, which was pretty cool.
Sounds like that's how you end a vacation.
And of course, when I travel, I'm just drinking beer at every brewery I can get my hands on.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that leads to my question. When you leave Texas, when you go out on vacation or for business or whatever, what's the best beer you've ever just discovered while you're out traveling the country?
So, I mean, that's like an impossible question to truly answer because I see them all the time. But of course, the Denver, Colorado area just gets you every time. And I love Great Divide. Honestly, Great Divide really inspired us when we got going, and we were like thinking of starting a brewery. But when on this particular trip, I would say it was in Philadelphia. It was a brewery called Evil Genius. Their beer was outstanding.
Nice,
interesting, delicious. It had all sorts of crazy stuff.
Oh, I'll open that up to everybody though. Stephanie, what's the best beer you've ever found outside of Texas?
Well, so Chip mentioned earlier, I'm still new to the whole beer thing. So I haven't tasted an other than Texas beer that when I'm on vacation. But I did go recently with my dad to Panama City, where our lovely host let me taste the Panamanian rum called Abuelo. Oh my goodness. It was the first time that I had just rum on the rocks with a slice of lemon, and I was done. Dad and I and our host, lovely host, she was wonderful, just sat there for probably 2 hours, just shooting the shit, drinking this rum and lemon, and it was brilliant.
I also love rum beer.
See,
I love
rum-
beer that is
beer.
rum.
I was going to say
beer.
not beer, but a great answer.
I love beer that is whiskey too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, how about you, Chip? I mean, you've been out of state recently. What do you find that's any good?
So there's a couple. There's a brewery up in Oklahoma City called Elk Valley. They do a Pilsner called 10 Killer. It is phenomenal.
T-I-N?
T-E-N.
T-E-N.
Oh,
Like
10
the number.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and it is ridiculous. We'll drink that all day, every day, and it is fantastic. But there's also a brand new. So they've got what they call it a brewers union, which is a brilliant concept, and hopefully nobody steals that before the five of us, excuse me, Mistress Vicky, get a chance to start this up. It is
Taskmaster, Vicky.
Taskmaster.
Task.
Oh,
Okay, whatever.
She's keeping us on.
Yeah, that's why it's
She's
Mistress.
going to hit us again.
I'm going to
We
buy
have to
her
go back to
heels.
another break.
Yeah,
she's
but
gonna
I'm
be
And
mad.
tat.
Kind of
Yeah,
into that,
and
but
tights.
anyway.
Yes.
It's a brewers union. What they do is they get breweries that aren't breweries yet come in. They have the setup. They let these people use their setup, and they sell the beers on site. They have a canning facility, so they can them. They sell them on site. They get them into other places and get them set up to ready to go. That's where Elk Valley actually came from. There's a Goza, which I do not like Gozas, from Cross Timbers. It was ridiculous, and I cannot think of the name of it, but it was stupid good, and it doubles every other greenage. There you go. That's why we have Mistress Vicky here. It's called Greenage. It is a cilantro lime goza.
Yum.
It is stupid good. It doubles the sell out of everything else that they have there. It is wonderful.
You know that general concept is out there in a couple iterations. There's the Canarchy, which is a bunch of breweries coming together and joining their management together and getting all of their cogs down, and that makes a big difference. But the Canarchy is canning in Austin over there at Oscar Blues. But just kind of that startup area kind of idea. You know, Friends and Allies, they bought tanks that were sitting at Fourth Tap. And so they were able to get out into the market about 2 years ahead of their brewery opening with the Noisy Cricket. And so by the time they actually opened up, they already had dozens, hundreds, I don't know, accounts. So people were familiar with their brand. So that kind of like startup incubator thing kind of is what that sounds like.
Right, and it is what is it? Lake Austin Ales. It's the same thing with nobody's supposed to know this, and we shouldn't say it. They were brewing from a facility in the Beer Mile in Central Austin, and so they didn't have and don't have a facility yet, but they have somebody else brewing their stuff.
They have a great recipe.
Oh, it's fantastic.
And contract brewing is a pretty common thing. And people get out there, you know, before Tejas and Big Ben met their big demise, which, you know, that's a whole nother topic.
Right.
DME, I saw them at the CBC, and I was like, wait, what are you doing? Are you out here selling more tanks to new breweries? You just killed this big brewery that people love in Texas. Like, why are you here? But anyways, I digress. You know, they were contract brewing a lot of that Tejas, so that was the reason they were building the San Antonio facility, is because they couldn't keep up with everything out of it.
I was really hoping that they would get that up and running before they lost it.
DME stole $1 million of their dollars. Yeah, that really sucked.
Yeah. Well, you know, pardon my language, but beep, DME. And
are we not allowed to cuss on the show?
no, you can.
you
Fuck
absolutely
DME.
can.
All right,
This
I
is
was like,
awkward.
that's fucking bullshit.
Yeah, no, yeah. I didn't hear the full story on that, but fuck DMA for that. That's horrible. And Linnea, please forgive us for that.
Oh, Mike.
Don't stab us in our
What
sleep.
about you?
Well, yeah, what about you?
Well, so I kind of grew up in the San Diego area, and Stone was my first love, and probably still, don't tell Joanne, my greatest love.
She knows.
But I would say in the last 10 years, just traveling from place to place, I have never found anything quite as much fun as Southern hospitality over at Great Raft in Louisiana.
Oh.
You know, I'm a Pilsner guy anyway.
So yeah, all right.
Although special mention to Flying Hearts Day Wrecker.
Which wrecked your day.
Yeah. So
you
gonna tell this one?
I apologize, but I'd left one off because Flying Heart had that, and Ben, I hope you're listening. You need to change the recipe back. The Mojito Ale, which we need to get you some of that. It's the Candy Shandy now.
Yeah,
it's Candy Shandy now. The first time we had that Mojito Ale,
It was a Mojito Ale. It was not a shandy.
No, it was not a shandy, and it changed my life. Oh my God. We immediately asked for a egg of that to take home.
Wow.
Oh yeah, immediately. It was
Okay.
It was that good. Holy crap!
The shandy ale, though, I mean, the shandy's gone at poor thinking. Whereas right now, we're all in the very hard seltzer kind of mindset. Everyone's getting the hard seltzer, so you can see a lot of breweries are starting to make that lighter.
They do a good candy shandy, and it's not a bad beer as a candy shandy, but it is a ridiculous beer as a mojito ale. And it's clear. It looks like water. Oh my God, it's fantastic.
Yeah. I forgot about that one because it was a couple of years ago. But
But the story Mike's talking about with the
Day Wrecker.
Day Wrecker, we were going through Louisiana, well specifically Shreveport, and doing some features on those places. We changed our pattern, and we were doing just a 1 to 2 to 5 minute feature. By the time we got to Flying Heart, then Mike was feeling pretty good. He had that Day Wrecker. It's a Pilsner, tastes like a Pilsner, drinks like a Pilsner, just 10% alcohol.
Wow.
Yeah, that's why they call it a Day Wrecker. It'll fuck you up. I mean, we're sitting there and we're like, hey, we got to do these. We got to do this feature on Flying Heart because our friends, we love these people. They treat us great every time we're in there. They're wonderful. They're fucking awesome.
Can't wait to go.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You're going with me next time. Vicky might go too.
Hey, just on the record kind of frame, I'm going to leave them unnamed, but there's an HEB steward who recently texted me, actually yesterday was texting me that the Hoppy Clouds was a pecker wrecker. And I was like, hey,
Nice.
I had never heard that one kind of dropped as my beer, so I thought maybe we had made it to the promised land.
Yeah, I guarantee you this
That's a good one.
This was for Mike because we're sitting in there
Sorry,
and we're starting to do the feature and we figured out what we're going to say. I did my intro. This is Chip and Mike, blah, blah, blah. Looked at Mike and he looked at me and he goes, what am I supposed to say? I was like, Mike, it's this. It's really easy. Just this. Yeah, I can't say that.
I was there. I wasn't there. He's like, all right, well, I'm going to say this. And you say that. Okay, let's do it. Roll. And Chip would say something and then look at me and I just look at him.
Yeah, I was like, Mike.
He's like, are you going to?
Do you know your
No,
lines?
let's try it again.
Yeah.
Are you sure you weren't tripping?
This time,
Right?
He might as well be. He
It
might as
sounds
well
like
be.
it.
it was very much like that because I'm not I don't get drunk. I'm not a sloppy drunk. I'm not a fall
That's
down
not
kind
what
of
I heard.
drunk. I don't do this. But
mean, it
after
falls
that
down,
Day
but
Wrecker,
you
I
don't.
just kind of was looking through stuff. I was just kind of standing there being
Ben, the owner of the place, comes back after about 30, 45 minutes. He goes, "Y'all
30,
all right?"
45 minutes of us shooting a 2-minute
A 2-minute
video.
feature. And he goes, are y'all all right? What's going on here? I was like, no, we're good, man. Mike, you gotta nail this because Ben's right here. And we nailed it. He had like 4 words. at that
Yeah,
point.
we
He's like,
pared it down.
It'll fuck you up. And he's like, yeah, well.
Boomhauer. Bear.
Banana. Daybreaker. And yeah, we got it done and showed Ben. He loved it. And Mike goes, okay, I don't know how that happened. And then walked off.
Never felt quite like that, but I did get to
Take some home.
I took some home.
Good on you.
I will say, as someone who's served Mike several beers,
Yes.
he's always been very composed. He's got a good poker face. Does he like it? Does he not like it? It's hard to read, but then he orders another one, and it seems like okay, he seems happy about it.
And he always is.
I
because
kind of
it's
want to see
beer.
Sloppy Mike. Hey, Mike,
Did
3
you-
more Hoppy Clouds for you. Chop chop.
So yes, if you go pour us 3 more, you're still. Why are you? You're the only one that's not done with your Hoppy Cloud.
Well, that's because I've been drinking all the whiskey you guys are putting down my
Actually,
throat.
he is.
I'm just pounding whiskey. So normally I thought it was like.
I might finish his.
And it seems like
okay.
a false assumption that the Drinking Texas podcast would be drinking beer, but of course we're drinking whiskey. So
We're drinking everything. It's,
I know.
it's
So
all,
you guys were all inclusive.
Oh yeah,
It is true.
By the way, what is your? And I'm going off topic, and I know Vicky's going to pinch my nipples.
Oh,
but
she's gonna edit this.
You're
Yeah,
gonna
no,
like
no,
it.
no.
You're
What-
gonna
what's
like
your
it.
what's your favorite whiskey? What's your favorite Texas whiskey?
Okay, so there's a couple things here. First of all, I love frozen margaritas. Just I'm like a
That
junkie.
is not a whiskey. But
I know,
okay.
but so
Hey,
like
we can save that for Pride Week.
I know, but I really do love the frozen margaritas. But right now, I'm a big fan of the TX whiskey. I drink that all the time. It's just super smooth. It's not just because of the Texas branding, but I just really like that. It's happy.
Hold on a second. What do you think of the 9 Banded?
Oh, I was just going to get there. I mean, so during the break, I went and grabbed a bottle of this 9 Banded whiskey, which is a newer distillery. They're putting this out in the market, and they're really great. I love
they are.
They're cool people. They're sort of like us, quasi startup mode, really turning the corner. And I'm also gently begging. I'm like, please give me some more whiskey barrels so I can put some of our Oktoberfest in there. Is what I would like to do. 'Cause I think you guys had that last October. The whiskey
that'll be interesting in the whiskey barrels.
Well, the Oktoberfest and the whiskey, they work together. You put it inside the whiskey barrel, and then you put the whiskey barrel inside the cooler, and you lager it in the whiskey barrel, and that.
Nice.
But that's what maybe that might have been a trade
so-
secret. So Vicky,
I'm all in on that.
Yeah. So, quick question: Nine Banded. I believe that's a former UT athlete. I don't remember if it's a tennis player or a football player, but I believe a couple of the athletes from UT started that, and that's who runs it right now.
It's nice. It's affordable. You know, there's a lot of really high-end whiskey here, but sometimes you want something that you can spend $35, $40 on and enjoy it. And I find that like the Texas whiskey, you know, here it's not a news to anybody that brewers drink whiskey. But the TX really did it for a long time. Then we've been on the Nine Banded for a while. But you know, some really get into the bourbon when they like the bullet. And people will be pounding the bullet. But yes, you got the Spirit of Texas distillery barrels right behind you.
Right there in Pflugerville.
Yeah, and they're great. They're getting it together.
I believe they are the one of the only all wheat, if I'm not mistaken. Mike, is that correct?
Yeah, 100% wheat.
100% wheat
Whiskey.
Yeah. So it's something a little different. It's something fantastic. But yeah,
they got great people over there.
Y'all are doing the Picket Porter.
Yeah, we got some porter in there.
Yeah,
and we got some peanut butter porter in there. So we're doing some fun stuff. That particular set of barrels sitting right over there are actually on their third generation. So you know, your first generation, you really get that heavy whiskey. That second generation, you can do that in 3 to 6 months. That second generation, 6 months to a year, you're getting some of the whiskey, getting some of the barrel. Now we got that in there. We're just gonna let this thing just keep riding. We've just been doing weird stuff there because by the third time, you can really start getting the characteristics of the wood. So people have been asking us about the peanut butter for a long time, which, by the way, we got a peanut butter chocolate porter in the Bright Tank right now. So we haven't announced that yet either, so that's news.
Oh, is that
that's
the
news.
One?
That's breaking news here on the Drinking Texas.
Is that the one with the cans you just brought in?
Yeah, so they're going into blank cans because we're just still like kind of like making some crazy stuff happen over
Ladies
there.
and gentlemen, breaking news.
But yes, this is breaking news. This is the first announcement of it. But you know, we have a porter that just got a bunch of chocolate. So we just got a 50-pound sack of raw cocoa powder from Seriously Chocolate. Threw that in there.
Talking about your 50-pound sack, that's just bragging at that point.
I know, man, but you know, just dragging it along, just getting through. And then I got the peanut butter, and we got it all mixing in there. And so, honestly, we were getting some of our first taste testing of it earlier today. And once this is over, I'll let you guys taste it. But it crossed the threshold where I thought, okay, I need to get this out of the Bright Tank. I need some blank cans. So that's what I went to go pick up when you guys pulled up. I was unloading cans.
That's awesome, man.
It's pretty exciting.
I knew if we got enough whiskey in you, we'd find out what it was.
And so I'm pretty excited about that worldwide press release right here. There you go on the Drinking Texas podcast. It should be in the tap room first, pilot batches, and then a scaled version here soon.
That's awesome, man. Y'all are doing such good stuff over here. That's why we wanted you as our first guest.
I really appreciate that. You know, it's been quite a journey over here. This space we're in right now was originally a Schlitz distribution warehouse.
That's what we were told when we first walked through.
I love the classics.
Yeah.
So we got the Schlitz sign, which actually came from a Taylor, estate sale that went to the Taylor Antique Mall. And I saw that on the wall, and I'm like, I know that came out of this warehouse,
right?
And so I have to bring that all the way back.
You realize you outbid me for that?
I did.
Nice.
And so people look at me and they're like, "Why is there a Schlitz sign hanging under your Texas Craft Brewer sign?" I'm like, "Because this was a Schlitz beer warehouse."
Yeah.
And it's been through a number of things, but bringing it up to speed, getting it going, it's been quite a journey. So I appreciate you guys being here.
So that's sidebar. First beer I ever had, Schlitz.
Really?
Yeah.
All right.
I was 12.
12.
Yeah. So every day I would come home from school, do my homework. About 20, 30 minutes later, my dad would get home from work. As soon as he got home, put his briefcase or whatever he had down. He was a banker at the time.
Your dad?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Okay. He was a loan officer way back in the day.
Really?
Yeah, that's the whole housing collapse. Don't worry about it.
Kind?
So we would walk next door to my grandpa's house, and he would meet us at the door, open the door. We didn't knock. We'd get there. He'd open the door, hand my dad a mug of beer because he had a tap in his house.
Okay.
Schlitz, always Schlitz. We did this every day. One day we walked in. He handed my dad a beer. He handed me a beer. And my dad's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Well, giving him a beer." He's like, he's only 12. Like, he's going to be a man someday, yeah.
Did you finish the beer?
Okay.
That's the question.
So that was it.
Did you finish
so I became part of their
What is it,
Schlitz
Pansy?
drinking trio after that.
That's a legit question.
It is.
according to the TABC rules, that's perfectly legal. As long
Yeah,
as your parent is giving
Yeah.
you
It
the
is
beer,
true.
that is totally legal.
Well, it was
So-
Grandpa, but he totally owned pop.
Yeah.
So
Oh
there you
yeah.
go.
Well, yeah. So on that note, go get your 12-year-old a beer. Do not do that. It is not
Unless you're
Only
their
if you
parent
can
unless
donate.
you're their parent. I mean,
and you're bad
that's-
at your job.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But we are going to take a
gonna
break.
be a terrible
Go get
mother.
yourself a beer. Go get yourself a whiskey. 'Cause that's what we're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
And we will be right back. All right. You ready to sing something with me?
All right. So, what was the last song you sang in public?
Got it bad. I got it bad. I got it bad. I'm hot for teacher. That's my only song I ever sang.
That's nice.
That's my karaoke song.
1984.
Yeah,
Oh,
I mean
God.
Van
What are we
Halen.
looking?
That's
9?
it. That's the one I do.
All right, we're back here with JD Gins, head brewer of Texas Beer Company in Taylor, Texas. JD, thank you for joining us again.
Thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you for being here. You could do that all day.
Existing.
Yeah.
Easy now.
Oh, yeah, and it'd be fun. So, Mike, do you have questions for JD?
Well,
You're the question guy.
we're actually here to talk about what you do and how you do it. Let's start with where you came from. What did you do before beer?
Well, I used to run political campaigns for a living.
No, you didn't.
Yep.
That's a big difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was working on a campaign, and I had a girlfriend, not my wife, who said
She knows this?
she knows this.
Okay.
She said, if I have to listen to you talking about this fucking campaign one more time, I'm going to strangle you. You need a hobby. She bought me my first homebrew kit.
Okay.
Cool.
I brewed a stout. It was super foamy. It was
Thank
pretty
you, Karen.
bad, but I was like, hey, look, I got 2 skill sets now. Maybe one day I'll start a brewery.
Yeah. Thank you, Karen.
Yeah. Name is Elena, but you know.
We're going to call her Karen, though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
let's
she's a
stick
very
with Karen.
smart and capable woman, and I do appreciate all the guidance she gave me. But yeah,
Thank
so
you,
I
Karen, indeed.
started brewing beer just kind of as a way to get my mind off the general rigor mortis of the political molasses that we have in the world right now. And it's kind of fun because beer is bipartisan. People
It is.
across
It really is.
across the political spectrum, they love beer. Brings people together. Tap rooms are like a happy place. I mean, like Austin Beer Works, that beer is called the Peacemaker.
True.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
and then some people refer to their breweries as peace factories, and
Nice.
and it makes sense because people,
Well,
whether
when
they
you
like
show
everything or not, they like beer.
Yeah. Well, good times or bad times, you drink beer.
Yeah,
No matter if you're Republican, Democrat, left wing, right wing, it doesn't matter. You drink beer.
totally. And
Yeah.
so
Gay, straight, whatever.
transgender
Transgender.
or super homophobic,
Or-
you might
Oh, yeah.
All right,
you
you
might.
guys-
You're
You gotta
still
quit.
going to pick up that glass.
You got to
Yeah.
quit pointing out all the things that Chip is.
Yeah,
Right there.
well,
Stop it.
he's
I am.
he's a Renaissance man.
Yes, exactly.
So you
But
know,
does not look good in a kilt.
doesn't?
Wait, well, hold on. Bullshit.
I'm just
I bet
I
he
look,
does.
I look phenomenal.
Actually,
By
I
the
have
way,
no
she
idea.
didn't- she didn't
Wait,
know
wait.
that I used to-
Mistress Vicky is giving me the look, and
Oh,
I
yeah.
apologize. I retract said statement.
she does not realize that I used to throw Highland games.
I think he.
No shit.
Oh yes, I did.
Sidebar.
By the way,
really,
guess
that's
what I
scary.
wore during Highland games?
A kilt.
Yeah.
Okay, I stand corrected. I apologize, Mistress.
I would
Vicky
guarantee that he
shall
looked good
punish
in the
me
kilt.
later.
I mean,
Oh, yeah.
So a couple campaign cycles later, some wins, some losses, work.
Mm-hmm.
We got serious. Me and my business partner Ian, we started talking about it. He came over one day after he had a baby, or his wife had a baby, but he got a hall pass.
Right.
She did all the work. Amy did all
Are
the work.
you the hall pass?
The hall pass was to come hang
Ooh,
out.
hold on. That,
And we
that
were-
means two different things. By the way, y'all said it.
I know. That's why I was curious. I'm curious.
My definition of a hall pass means when your wife lets you get out of the house.
Okay, fair. Okay, continue.
Yeah.
And so
that's
you know,
why she's the love goddess.
That's the hall pass. It could be other things. And so he came in. He was trying to bring Miller Lite into my house. I was like brewing homebrew. I was like, drink this. It was a stout. At that version, much better. He was like, this is pretty good. I'm like, this is craft beer. Let's just drink some. So fast forward a little bit longer. We're brewing in the backyard. We're kicking around names. We're thinking, what are we going to call this thing? And he says, well, why don't we be the Texas Beer Company? I was like, look, no one's going to let us be the Texas Beer Company. And he said, what does it hurt to ask? I said, it doesn't. So we filed the $200 and whatever you sent to the Secretary of State.
Yep.
And they wrote back, said, you're the Texas Beer Company. And
Congratulations.
thank you. Yeah. But so we were like, holy shit. What does that really mean? And we started on a pretty pronounced journey to get here.
Wow.
We did a Kickstarter campaign. We raised $30,000 from 300 people.
Holy shit.
Holy shit.
That helped
Yeah.
start
That
the
is
tap room.
awesome.
Helped get the
Thank
get
you,
the,
30 people.
300 people
300 people.
for
I've been
$30,000.
drinking.
Yeah, and then we turned on the pilot down the street and got that going, and then we continued to raise money through investors and working on all that, and we ended up working with the city of Taylor to build the tap room and this project as part of the effort to revitalize downtown Taylor.
And this is a fantastic tap room. This isn't a tap room. This is the brewery. If you get a
Production. He's not
chance,
listening.
no, hold on. If you get a chance, if you passing through Taylor, take a brewery tour because this is a wonderful place. And they can get a beer here as well, right?
Totally. On Saturdays, we do kind of the old school brewery tour. $10 to keep your glass, get 3 pours.
Hold on. You get for $10, you get a glass and 3 pours.
Yep.
All right, I will be here every Saturday.
Hey, I'll take it. And we really get a lot of people coming in, a lot of homebrew nerds, which I say that with all love and affection.
Right.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
people asking questions.
Good.
I've been accused of giving too much detail on our tours. Megan, my wife, who's also our operations. She's our Vicky around here.
Yeah, Mistress Vicky, by the way.
Mistress Megan says,
Mistress
that's
Megan.
too much information. And then people always come in and they're like, that was the greatest tour ever. But that's because they're nerds.
Yeah, well, right.
I love you, nerds.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a nerd, but I'd say that lovingly. But
Right.
And one of your, she's not brewer. What is she that just went off to the Dungeons and Dragons?
Oh,
She's the
yeah.
dungeon master.
Ruby was just in here.
Ruby,
Ruby's
yeah.
one of our lab people.
Yeah, so
and she.
so we appreciate nerds around here because
Totally.
Ruby just went off. She's the dungeon master at a Dungeons and Dragons game.
Yeah.
And because she wouldn't.
Sexy as all get out.
Hell yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yes, she actually.
She was.
She's absolutely beautiful. But she wouldn't have a drink with us because she had to have her wits about her.
Yeah.
She had her priorities.
to run her quest.
You can catch her. You can catch her downtown working in the deli, which at Second and Main, it's a big mixed use project. That building was abandoned for 20 years.
Oh, it's a beautiful building.
And Judy Blundell got that up and running, and we got coffee shop, deli, wineries. It's an all one stop shop kind of thing.
Nice.
And she works over there. But this is a true story. Ruby, who we were just talking about, I was following her on Instagram, and I noticed she had a lot of pictures of plates. She was not like dinner plates, but like cultured plates where you take a little swab off things and then you do it and it propagates up, whether it's got bacteria or yeast growing.
Oh, sure.
And I called her because she sometimes works in the bar and she's my friend. And I was like, "Are you a nerd?" She's like, did you major in biology? And she's like, "Yeah." I'm looking at all these things. Do you know how to plate things? Do you know how to do things? And she's like, "Yeah." Like, well, why don't you come hang out at the brewery and teach me? Because this is a true story. I when I was in biology class, I was cheating off my neighbor, and I was looking at his answers, and he was like, "JD, why are you cheating off my test?" And I said, quote, "I'm never going to need to know any of this." That's what was 17-year-old JD.
Yeah.
Fast forward, 20 years or so,
Yeah.
I own a brewery, and I'm like, I need to know all of it. I'm like, Chemistry for Dummies? Is that a book?
Yeah.
Can I buy that
It
book?
is.
And that man's name was Barack Obama.
Barack Obama, yeah.
Thank you, Barack, for teaching JD
Obviously.
science.
Thank you so much.
All right, but before we get any more into the brewery, let's talk about the building.
Sure.
So you guys are in the
Corey Timmerman,
which is right on the corner.
Second and Main.
Second and Main, downtown Taylor. It's been there since
1895.
All right. So
Too
how did you
long.
get that space, and how great is it?
It's great. So, and I mean, she might hear this podcast, so I say this with all love and respect. Judy Blundell is like my fairy godmother, and sometimes the bane of my existence. She's a very powerful, strong-willed woman, and so I couldn't take credit for what happened down there. She really just got it going. She had the vision. She knew that this space needed to come back, but Taylor has a big, long, proud history and a very active downtown back in the day. And then, it's a very typical small town tale. Walmart moved to town and wiped out the local businesses and just really just made a big impact, a real large economic downturn. And then, fast forward 20 years, these buildings are shuttered. They got good bones. They got great architecture.
It's fantastic.
And so she had the vision. And we had a mutual friend who said, I know a woman, she's looking for a beer concept, a brewery or a bar to be the anchor of her project. We're like, look at us, we're knuckleheads. We need a fairy godmother, and it kind of went from there. So we came every month for about 2 years and did what she was doing was third Thursdays, and she was showing off kind of different parts of the building, and as they were getting cleaned out and like just really bad shape, and we would serve homebrew once a month, just whatever we brewed that month. Yep, we'd serve homebrew once a month, and we said to everybody, "Hey, do you want a brewery in Taylor?" Started building an email list. So this was kind of like my organizing background, Ian's organizing background coming into play.
Grassroots.
We built an email list of several thousand people in a town of 14,000 people. And when the real push came to like jumpstart the building, we were able to message our supporters, people who have been drinking our homebrew, and saying, "You want a brewery? Tell the city council you want a brewery." And that really helped just kind of jumpstart the momentum we got. And so if Ian was here, he would say this is a people-powered brewery. And from a Kickstarter to that campaign to the people who have been part of our crowdfunding efforts. We are grassroots organizers, and that's what this is about.
So that's about the time that Mike actually ran into y'all. Because he works here in Taylor, and he would come back and tell me about this place called Texas Beer Company that was over there. They can't sell their own beer yet, but they've got other beers on tap, and they do homebrew, and it's fantastic. You got to come check it out. And I was like, no, not at all.
Yep.
It's bullshit. I'm not going to check it out because it doesn't sound right. And then that's my bad because Jesus Christ, y'all do such a good job. I know.
Well, when we opened, we were told point blank that no one was gonna drink craft beer, that we were wasting our time. If you visit our tap room,
which is bullshit,
we have our beer, but we also do Texas only guest taps.
And
so we have beer from around the state. We love to show off.
Well,
very cool.
I heard the problem was you didn't have Bud Light.
Yeah, and so early on we had a lot of that. God. We really did. And but what distinguished us early on in Taylor was we opened up as a non-smoking establishment, and people would walk in and say, "I don't know anything about craft beer, but I like that no one's smoking in here.
Right.
So give me a Bud Light." I'm like, "Sorry, there's no Bud Light." There you go.
But we have a
Coors Light.
And we're like, "Nope." But we were like, here's
all
a Zoe.
Texas,
But we've got a blonde.
go.
We've got a Zoe.
Here's a Zoe. Here's a Fireman's
Try
Four.
this.
And now we were like, "What sour do you have? What IPA do you have? Oh, I've had the Hoppy Duck. What else do you got? You got Spindle Tap? Do you got do what?" And it's really, really cool. And it's kind of gotten out of control basically in Taylor. We got our scene. We went from 14 taps to 26 or so. The Loose Screw opened up. Cool. They got 42 taps. And so I always laugh when people are like, I just remember that when people told me no one was going to drink craft beer in Taylor, now it's like, well, there's not only is our brewery with guest taps, there's a craft beer bar and a beer garden. That's awesome. And people love to go there.
Which is directly associated with y'all because they wouldn't exist if y'all wouldn't have tested the waters first.
Right.
And
Sounds like it.
But
that's a fact. That's an absolute fact. And we talked to Don and Tammy, and if y'all would not have tested the waters and gotten them going, they would not have existed.
Yeah.
So you're directly responsible for Loose Screw and getting craft beers into Taylor.
Well, one thing that really made me happy when we really got under this way is I went into the local HEB and there was a lot of good craft beer there. Actually, it wasn't the biggest craft beer section you've seen. Right. They didn't have rows and rows of like the same thing, but they had a nice selection, which indicated to me very early on that people, not only in Taylor, but Taylor's HEB is kind of the metropolitan area of Rawl and Thorndale and some other areas. People wanted craft beer, and that's what gave me confidence that people were telling me, "Oh, everyone's going to sell any craft beer here." But I was like, I can see nobody knows the local pulse of what's going on in a community better than HEB.
Right.
True.
And so, I mean, and I'm not just saying that because we're in about 70 of them from here to San Antonio. Please go to HEB and buy some. But truly, that was really like...
it really is.
HEB, not only are they the grocery store of Texas, but they know what Texans like.
They also sell more craft beer than any other business in Texas.
And they're not going to carry crap that people don't want. So if people don't want craft beer, they're not going to carry it.
They're not going to put it there.
It's a waste of space.
That is very true.
Yeah.
That is very true.
It's an absolute waste of space.
I learned, note for my shoppers and the bargain dealer seekers, that at HEB, if it's a purple clearance, we will not sell it there anymore unless requested.
Really?
So, yeah.
I don't even know what that means, but
Don't
No.
listen to him. But those who shop know what I'm talking about.
yeah. So
You're
there
welcome.
you go from the Goddess of Love.
You're welcome, ladies.
Stephanie.
And gentlemen who
it's,
shop.
it's grown. I mean, have you all have been here, Mike, definitely since the beginning. And, now we have the Black Sparrow Music Parlor in downtown.
Right.
Oh yeah,
Shannon, who's awesome.
fantastic.
And I remember the day Shannon moved to town. She was marching around, and I was just watching her, got the building.
She's
and do
fiery,
things.
right?
She's fiery,
Oh,
and she
good.
was
Good Lord.
getting shit done left and right. And then she walked in one day, and she was like, "Hey, I'm just here. I just want you to know who I am, and I want you to know I'm not trying to be competition. I'm just going to make a music parlor, and this is going to be cool." And I was like, "Shannon, I've been waiting every day for you to show up,
Yeah.
and
Nice.
somebody else to like put an anchor down and make an institution happen. Now she's got it, and then Taylor Station open, and then the Loose Screw open. We're catching that kind of momentum now, where shit's going on and people
Yeah.
are doing things. That was the whole goal when we made that partnership with the city for downtown revitalization. That was the goal.
When Shannon opened up, y'all actually put a keg in her place.
Oh yeah, I mean,
so there was always a keg there. She didn't have anything on tap, all cans and bottles, except for one keg at Texas Beer Company,
Yep.
which is fantastic.
yeah, and we're all in this together. We all got to do this thing together. We're all rowing together, and that's where it's going. But quickly, kind of it became clear to us what we were trying to do as a beer company wasn't going to just be a tap room and a pilot. And we built the brewery where we are right now, which is down the street. And so a lot of people come for the Brewery Tour, they end up in the tap room because that's really all that visibly is online.
Right.
But 1331 West 2nd Street is our tap room. And we built a 30-barrel production brewery. And, kind of going just back in time a little bit, what we did is we started that 3-barrel pilot, and we kind of crossed over. We did 60-gallon batches. We broke them into carboys, and we put different yeast strains. So same base wort, different carboys, different yeast strains, different hop combinations. And then we packaged 5 gallons at a time, put them across the wall. Experiment after experiment. The rotating tap was always rotating. Like a rotator it might last an hour because the people were like, "Oh, this is awesome! Boom, boom, boom!
Yeah.
40 beers would be
Gone,
poured real
right?
fast."
Right.
And it was like, "Oh, this wasn't so great. It might be there for a couple of days."
No,
That's how we sorted through our recipes.
But immediately what's working and what's not.
Totally. And so the people at Taylor helped shape that recipes.
Nice.
And we did 220 iterations of beer like that. And then
Wow.
we did those recipes. We made them 2-barrel batches, and then we made them 4-barrel batches before we turned on this one. So we had been around the wheel 250 times before we turned on the 3-barrel.
So let me-
excuse me, the 30-barrel.
Yeah, so let me ask you, going from the 3-barrel to the 30-barrel, how big of a transition is that? Was it tough for you to move from a startup tap room to a actual production facility? Because for a lot of people that's ridiculously almost impossible. How hard was that for you?
It was hard. I'll tell you the truth though. I think the jump from home brewing to the 3-barrels was more difficult.
Right.
And not that running a 30-barrel is easy. Trust me, we make
Right.
mistakes over here. We're still learning every day. I think that you look at like a brewer like Swifty at ABGB, who's probably the patriarch.
Yeah,
he's
he's the guy. He's the man.
He's the man.
Yeah.
He still would say he's learning every day. He's trying new things. He's doing new things. So brewing is always evolving. All brewers are doing the same thing differently. We're all brewing beer. We're all making wort and putting yeast on it. But how do we do it? We're always experimenting there. But one thing that's interesting about a 30-barrel, temperatures as you mash and do those kind of nerdy stuff. If you're on a 5-gallon batch, it's quickly possible to ruin your batch by being too hot, to being too cold, all
Right.
the things.
Oh.
Right.
But if you're running a bigger wort or running a bigger mash, it's not that it's easier per se, but you're not going to have the same kind of temperature swing. So consistency in some ways is a little easier on a bigger scale because getting from 152 degrees to 155 degrees can take 3 or 4 or 5 minutes versus on a homebrew setup that can be done in 30 seconds.
Right.
And you just blow right past your temperature, and then you made a bad batch, and so some of that now. Of course,
Gotcha.
chemicals and forklifts and boilers and chillers
Right.
and all the things that go in there. The learning curve has been steep, and I think that I'm still on that learning curve. I would say I'm going to be learning on that learning curve for as long as I get to do this.
You always
Good.
will, because if you stop
Right.
learning, you're going backwards, right?
Yeah.
Because
Or you're getting stagnant.
Yeah, exactly. Getting stagnant.
Oh,
Beer is always changing. It's one of those non-constant that is always evolving.
Mhm.
So if you're not evolving with it, then you're stagnant and you're not going to survive.
That's right.
So that's one thing we like about y'all, because you always have something new coming out.
You might end like Schlitz.
Yeah.
Well, no, Schlitz is still evolving.
Oh, is it?
Oh,
it's still here.
around.
Oh, that's awkward. Never
Yeah,
mind.
still around?
no,
I
yeah,
don't know
but
my beer.
yeah, she doesn't know
Obviously.
beer that much, but it's. I mean, if you want a weight loss challenge, start with Schlitz.
Yeah. Well, it's been quite a journey here. If you notice in my tap room here, this is our tap room / grain room where Suds' living room. We have the Shiner sign over there, and sometimes people ask like, why do you have that Shiner neon? And outside of it being outrageously cool,
Yeah,
it's
totally.
cool as shit. Yeah.
it's kind of the inspiration that we look for in this brewery. On the Shiner cans it says approved by the people of Shiner.
Mhm.
We kind of look at that as how we feel about Taylor. People of Taylor helped us build this recipe and
Fair.
helped us build this brewery, and,
Right.
and so we're always trying to do right by them.
So, a little off topic here. I want to ask something about the impact that the breweries had on the community. You've talked about that a little bit, but also on the brewing community. You don't just discover stuff and do it and keep it yourself. Talk a little bit about how you've been able to work with other brewers in the area.
Sure.
How that whole the brewing relationship works a little different than most other competitive businesses.
Yeah, totally. Well, like right up the street from us, Main Street in Taylor is Highway 95. At one end of Highway 95 from us is Elgin, where Circle is moving. For like,
But we heard about that.
and
They bought some land out there.
yeah, they're building their big production brewery. They're going to
It's
do
fantastic.
It's a
In
great
Elgin.
thing.
Yeah,
And then just to the north of us up 95 is
Granger City.
Granger City, and Peter and Elle and what they're doing up there is amazing. And so, it basically boils down to a very simple concept. It's lots of little Davids versus a big Goliath.
Right.
And
Nice.
so we're not in competition really with each other, because people are either drinking craft beer or they're drinking domestic beer.
Yeah.
And so I understand that craft beer drinkers like choices and iterations and want to do things. And sure, some people love the blonde or the amber or whatever,
Right.
but they're always going to be trying new things. So we're either converting beer drinkers or we are not. So we're all in that same battle together.
Yeah. So the David versus Goliath that JD's talking about is the Anheuser-Busch, Miller Coors versus all the craft beers.
Totally.
And they're trying to Miller Coors and Anheuser-Busch are trying to technically crush craft beers because they don't want all the Davids coming up to destroy what they're doing, and y'all are causing a commotion I'm not going to say in a small way, but y'all are causing a commotion on their sales because people understand what good beer is, and it's not just Texas beers; it's Oklahoma, it's Nashville, it's Colorado, it's
Absolutely.
it's everywhere, right?
Absolutely.
There's so many craft breweries that are coming up that it's phenomenal, and one of the things that we love about in Texas is we get around to different craft breweries, different throughout different states, right? And everybody's trying to help each other, and that is amazing.
Yeah.
It's not like any other industry that I've seen, because you're trying to help Peter up in Granger, and you're.
And Josh Hare at Hops and Grain helps us.
Oh yeah,
and that's kind of how it goes. That's like my obligation to help other people.
What's his name? You just mentioned him from Shifty.
Swifty.
Swifty is helping everybody.
Yeah.
And the guys at Skull Mechanics, they had so many people help them to develop their brewery that it's amazing that everybody helps everybody out, because it is a David versus Goliath. It's not a David versus David. And everybody knows that the more Davids there are, the more craft beer that's going to be sold. So it's fantastic.
Well, one thing that I admire about drinking Texas and what you all are doing is that motto, making friends one beer at a time.
Yeah.
And going around and doing that. And you all do a really great job at talking to folks and giving them an opportunity to talk about what they're doing and all of those things. But just for forward-looking perspective a little bit, Texas is somewhere like 7 or 8 on the number of breweries in the state.
Mm-hmm.
Per capita, we still haven't even crossed 40.
Yeah.
I think we're like 45th, 46th. So that
Really?
means many more little towns like Taylor, Waco, Longview.
Yes.
They're all going to be getting their breweries. And there's going to be more in
Yes.
Austin, too. So I guess I say this to just say you guys got to have a lot more work ahead of you.
Oh.
You're going to have to go make a lot more friends.
Yeah.
Damn
So,
it.
which is fantastic for us.
Networking.
But I want to say this. Austin is like the number 4 capital. And I know we got to go to break, and Mistress Vicky is cracking her whip at me.
She has the whip.
But
She's giving you the people's eyebrow.
I know she is. But
He likes
Austin
it.
is like number 4 in capita, but number 1 in breweries.
Nice, okay.
Yeah. So Houston, San Antonio, Dallas has to catch up with Austin, and it's amazing. And that's just in Austin proper.
Yeah.
That's not counting Dripping Springs, Taylor, Round Rock, wherever. Right.
Taylor.
All the things.
Yeah.
I said
Yeah.
Taylor.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not going to
No,
miss
no,
Taylor.
he was just adding it.
I was just
again.
adding it
Yeah,
again.
just adding it
No,
again.
but you
Taylor,
know,
Taylor.
one thing
But
I'll-
it's amazing that Austin is the focal point of Texas breweries.
Yeah.
And there's so many good, I'm not going to say good, there's so many great breweries
Right.
within Austin. And there's so many great breweries throughout the state. If you haven't gone out and tried a craft beer
Or your local
or your
brewery.
local
Right.
brewery,
Or go-
Just in general, your
Yeah.
local
well,
brewery.
then you're missing out. Yeah.
No,
She
that-
has trouble with that word.
She,
No.
she does, but what she's trying to say is, if
What
you
she's-
haven't
Try
gone
out.
out and,
Yes.
and tried your local brewery, go out and try them
Yes.
because
Yes.
it's ridiculous.
Or come to the Texas Beer Company, downtown Taylor, second in Maine.
Not that far from you. Don't worry about it.
We might have Brash Up, which from Houston, their beer, the Pussy Wagon, is a crowd
There you
flavor.
go.
That is
We
a great-
also
That is always a
have the
crowd flavor.
Tups, that rotating double dry hops up. That's pretty awesome.
All right, it depends on which version.
Yeah, but that's what's so cool about
'Cause
it.
10 almost killed me.
10 almost killed you, but 11, the pina colada is
11 was
awesome.
great.
Wait, they haven't been, okay, hold on. First off, we got Mistress Vicky is like cracking the whip.
She's got her
We gotta
whip.
go to
She's
break.
angry.
We got to go to break. We will touch on this again when we come back from break. We got to touch up our drinks because I am
Been drinking.
We don't know what you
My
are.
tiny bladder is yelling.
yeah, and I am thirsty.
Thirsty.
So we'll be right back.
But hey, if you're listening to this podcast at this point, you know that we've been having fun. I'm sure you like to have fun too. Come hang out with us in Taylor.
So we're back with JD Gins from Texas Beer Company. JD, thanks for joining us, by the way.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah. What do you have on the schedule coming up?
On July 28th is going to be the kickoff of for us and across Williamson County, the house that beer built for the Williamson County Habitat for Humanity. So all the breweries in Williamson County are coming together. We're going to try to raise about $70,000 to build a house for a family in need. Fortunately and exciting for us here in Taylor, this house is actually going to be built here in Taylor.
Oh, that's
Nice.
awesome.
Very
And
cool.
so
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
going to be doing several things. There'll be more things coming up, but on the 28th, we're doing $1 towards off every Texas beer going towards the Williamson County thing. Pat from San Gabriel Brewing Company actually works for Habitat for Humanity, so he's spearheading this and is getting all the breweries
Awesome.
together, getting everybody excited about that, which
Nice,
is
Pat.
super cool. We're super excited to be part of that. So, are we supposed to be wrapping up this podcast?
Yeah.
Susan?
Well,
Yeah,
we
I
are.
I mean, eventually we're supposed to, but
I
I'm
think-
having
I
a
think-
really
I
good
think
time.
Mike has things he's supposed to say.
He does.
Mike
Mike,
does have like a mouthful of words.
So
going.
first off, we love having JD here.
Oh, yeah.
But Mike,
Very true.
where can you find us?
You have 20.
Yeah.
August 22nd, country music legend Doug Stone will be appearing at the Cotton Country Club in Granger, Texas. Now, that is a traditional Texas dance hall. It is a treat.
It really is. It's like you're dropping back into time, and with Doug Stone playing, I mean, it'll be like you're back in the 80s.
Yeah, and here's a little something for you specialty beer drinkers. September 1st, that's a Sunday, Michelada Madness. It's a competition that pits some of San Antonio's hottest restaurant bars against each other to make the city's best michelada. This is going down at the Alamo Beer Company. Starts early in the afternoon. You want to get in early and get yourself a seat because attendees get to sample all the different formulas that these beer masters, mixologists come up with.
And on August 10th, Georgetown Beard Club is doing a Make-A-Wish fundraiser at Bull Creek Brewery in Liberty Hill. So they're going to have music, food, snow cones, and beer. Also, they're going to have baskets that you can bid on. And we actually have a basket. It's a craft beer basket with a lot of the local breweries and businesses chipping in on that. We were there last year. It was fantastic. It goes to a great cause, the Make-A-Wish Foundation. You can't get much better than that. So if you're going to be out and about, go check some of those events out to see where we're going to be. Check out our social media networks. We've been drinking whiskey. We've been drinking beer. We've been loving life. This is Drinking Texas.
Thank you for joining us.
We out.
Cheers.